already. So if you're not there yet, as myself, we're gonna get on our chairs. I'm gonna move the microphone with me so you can hear me when I'm sitting. And let's see if now that there's less noise opening the door, yeah, it brightens up the room. But there's still noise, so maybe not. So today it's going to be a darker room. Hopefully you can still see me pretty well. I need to invest in more lights, like photographer lights, to make my room a little lighter so you can see me better, because I can imagine that it gets dark on that side of the screen and you're not able to see me well some days. So let's start in our neutral position, this seated position where we're bringing ourselves right to the edge of the chair. Please stop. Well, we'll do maybe with a little more noisy stuff and more light. I think that's a little better. So you come to the very edge of your chair. Literally, your sit bones are almost to that tipping edge. So you want to be safe and feel supported, but you want to bring as much space as possible between your back and the back of the chair. And also you take this opportunity to give a little rolling of the hips forward. So instead of just collapsing and rounding on your chair, such as this way, because can still cheat here. Even at the edge of the chair, there's a possibility that your body is going to naturally go into something that feels familiar, that is being used to for probably a while. And you want to simply rock those hips forward and find that nice, tall, seated position where you see immediately my shoulders are moving also from here, being forward and collapsing the center of the chest, which compromises deep breath. So a lot of you that might have issues breathing deep, it might simply be because you don't have a good posture for it. And the simple fact of opening the capacity of the body to expand the lungs into the breathing process through physically changing your posture, that might be the key thing that you need. It's not about your lungs being lazy or you not knowing how to breathe anymore. It's more about the body allowing that space to happen. So rock the hips forward a little bit, not all the way to arching stressfully, but just finding that spot that you have a natural curve here that allows now the shoulders to be right on top of the hips, the ears right on top of the shoulders. The feet are hip distance apart. No toes out, no toes in, because we're aiming to have feet, knees, and hips in the same alignment. And I know I repeat this over and over again, every single class. So for those who've been here for a long time, it might be very repetitive, but it's very, very important that you get this. And hopefully I'm hoping this on this side of the story, that you guys are doing that not only during the class, but when you're engaging with chairs and sofas and all that, not meaning that you have to sit like this absolutely the whole time, especially if you're on a sofa, on a couch. But when you're sitting at a table, for example, on a chair, if you remind yourself to sit this way, you're going to prevent a lot of low back issues. You're going to be able to breathe fuller and deeper without having to do much more effort than sitting tall. And that can literally change the way that you perceive your own body and the state of your health. So feet hip distance apart, aligning knees and hips also. You don't want your feet too far out, neither too close in. You want your shin bones, the front of the lower legs, perpendicular to the floor, creating a 90-degree angle between the lower legs and the floor under. And then we're resting the hands on top of the legs and we close the eyes. And that's where we really start. We start connecting the breath that is present, but that we don't pay attention to most of our day. And observing, watching, being present with that breath and noticing what the breath does. And as you observe the breath, that naturally will take you straight into the body, because the breath expresses itself into the body. There's a physical action here and physiological of the lungs expanding as they receive the breath in. And then there's a squeezing of the lungs to allow the air to go out. So actually, the active part of the breath is the exhale, where you have to release the air out of the body. Once you created that vacuum, naturally the inhale comes back in. So notice for yourself that equation, that formula between inhaling and exhaling, and how your body is receiving and releasing the breath, and what parts of the body are engaging in that process or feeling affected or touched by that process. And as you keep on noticing, paying attention, you'll realize that actually the breath is absolutely not limited to the upper chest, as we most of the time experience it, because we're so tight, so tense, we never breathe deep. You'll realize that the deeper you breathe, the more your torso is engaged, that you can feel the breath all the way down to the belly, even though your lungs are obviously not in your low belly. But the belly comes from the base of the ribs down to the pelvis. That's the whole area of the zone that we call the belly. And therefore, the upper part of the belly is in touch with the lungs. And if that part expands out to open space on the low lungs to receive breath, then the low part of the belly, which is in relationship with the upper part, also opens up and expands. And the same way, when you exhale, the whole belly is responsible for pressing in and squeezing the air out of the lungs. So free your belly. That's another thing that you need to learn through this class. Allow the belly to be relaxed and to have that ability to expand and contract. And then from here, feel the weight of your legs, feel the floor underneath your feet, start connecting with your environment and the support you're receiving onto your body from the feet and the sit bones that are in connection with the chair. And those two axes are strong anchors to allow movement to become more natural, more fluid, and more efficient. So let's take together 3 deep breaths in and out through the nose. Inhale deep. Exhale slow and deep. Inhale deep, pull the air into the lungs. And exhale, squeeze it out. And one more big inhale. And deep, long breath out. And gently open your eyes. And let's start with the neck today, with a gentle nodding of the head from side to side. A little tilting over one shoulder and the other shoulder. So working our way from the upper spine to the low spine, because the aim is to free the spine at some point during this practice. And freeing the spine means that you've unlocked the back muscle, the neck muscles, the belly, the chest. And from that unlocking, you establish a relationship with your arms and your legs. And give yourself a few more rounds of tilting, nice and gentle and easy, not collapsing, but lengthening into the tilt, lengthening the upper spine, the cervical spine. Back to center. Now we're going to go horizontal, rotating the head from side to side. Sweet and easy. And at first it might not be that sweet and easy, because if we have really tight neck, this simple movement can create a little achiness, not pain, Make sure that it's not pain there. But achiness, usually you can move through it and it starts softening as the neck gets a little more loose and a little more warm. And bring your head back to center. Now we're going to drop the chin towards the front of the right shoulder, as if you were looking down right to the side of your right hip down. And then we're going to go diagonal up to the left upper corner, and we'll look up to the ceiling to that left side. And then you're going to straight line down towards the front of the right shoulder and chin up and across to the left and down to the right and up to the left. Two more. Down to the right and up to the left. And last one, down to the right and up to the left. And bring everything back to center. Give a little nodding of the head from side to side just to reset, and let's go the opposite side. Now the chin is going to go down towards the front of the left shoulder. You're looking down to the floor to the left, and then you go diagonal up to the right and across and down to the left and across and up to the right. And nice and easy. And maybe this side feels a lot easier for you, or a little easier, or maybe it's a little more challenging, and that's fine. Two sides are never the same. And look up. And down. And last 1 or 2 rounds, depending on how fast you're going here. I obviously suggest that you're not going too fast here. Be mindful and giving time for the body to adapt and adjust to the movement of the neck here. And then bring your head back to center. Give a little tilt from side to side, just a little bobbing of the head here. And relax back to center. Now we're going to go with the chin down. And when I bring the chin down, something that I see as a tendency here is that the shoulders go on, and you do this. So make sure that you keep the shoulders in position and just your head tilts. Maybe your head is not going to tilt that far down, and that's why then the shoulders want to go in, because it feels that you're able to go further down. But the reality is we're trying to isolate the movement to the neck here. So keep the shoulders in position. You can even do like me, bring the hands to be aware, the fingers right in the front of the shoulders, to just give that signal to the shoulders to stay in position, and then you just drop the head. And you breathe here. And let the neck gently open. You'll notice that after a few breaths, after a few seconds, your chin probably is going to be able to lower just a tiny bit and more. And now at a certain point, you'll start feeling not just here in the neck, but you'll start feeling the stretch down to the space between the shoulder blades. There's a pull there from the muscles. And then bring your head back up. Come back to neutral. And then I'm going to face you again so you can see. You're going to bring your right hand on top of the left shoulder, and you're going to push down. So you bring your hand, don't be shy, not the fingers here. You bring your whole hand and kind of get a good grip here. And you're going to deep press, like meaning press down the shoulder. And then you tilt your head out to the right. And you obviously won't be able to go as far as you were able to when you were doing the pushing of the shoulder down, because the tendency when you tilt your head is that the opposite shoulder, even a little bit, if it's a little bit, is going to lift up and kind of cheat. So here you're pressing the shoulder down and you're tilting your head to the right. And now you feel really the core of this neck stretch. And breathe. And then release first the pressure of the hand and bring your head back to center. Now find in that center space time to observe the right side versus the left side of the neck. Notice if things are a little different here. And then let's switch. Left hand wraps on top of the right shoulder. You start pressing that right shoulder down and tilt the head to the left. And breathe. And then release the pressure. All along this, you're breathing. Bring your head back up. Release your hand down. Take a couple of breaths here to notice any differences. And now we're going to go with that hand action into the rotation of the head, which was the second move that we did. So again, you're going to use your full hand to the front of the shoulder. So again, don't do just like the fingers and like, I don't know, I'm not doing it. You know, resisting or shy about it. You want to place your hand and then the palm is cupping to this like front of the shoulder that has muscles here. And you're going to press this back as much as you can. If you're not able to press really far back because there's a resistance on the right shoulder, you can also use your right hand and pull that right elbow across to the left. And therefore you have more leverage to press that hand. And now you turn your head to the right. And breathe. Long breath here. And then stop the pulling of the arm. Release both hands. Come back to center. And let's switch. Place the palm of your hand to the front of the right shoulder. Rest it here, nice and cushiony. And then again, you can use your right hand, the upper arm right behind the elbow, so that you can have a traction of pushing into the forearm bone, so that you can press into the shoulder a little deeper and turn your head out to the left. And breathe. And soften the push and pull of the arms. Release your head back to center. Release things down. And start rolling the shoulders. Rolling the shoulders forward, up, back, and down. And then roll the opposite way. Elbows bend. You roll the elbows and shoulders back, up, forward, and down. And relax. Take a moment here. A lot of actions already. Action into the shoulders and the neck. Just sit here and observe for a bit. Let things sink in and integrate. And let's go into the arm realm. Bring the arms forward, not too far up, not too far down, just kind of a shoulder high. And we're going to start with the rotation of the hands and add it to the rotation of the wrist. Work with your fingers also. It's not just rotating here with the fingers relaxed, which is one option, but also play with your fingers, opening and closing. And reverse. And then stop the rotation of the hands and the fingers. And we're going to go into the rotation of the elbows. So keep the arms at the same level and isolate the movement from elbows out to the hands so that you're not going in this broad motion of everything moving. You're trying to stabilize at the shoulder level and upper arm and just rotate from elbows out to the hands. And reverse. Elbows stay at the same level. And release forward. Now you're going to the whole arm, opening, stretching back and down. Swing forward, go as far up as you're able to, then open wide out, and not just wide out forward, but opening and stretching the chest, trying to pull the arms back and down. Breathe in as you lift. Breathe out as you open and swing back. Breathe in and out. One more. Breathe in and out. And let's reverse. Now you're going to roll the arms back, lift up, and slowly forward and down. Reach back and up. And down. Two more. Breathe in as you roll back and up. Breathe out as you relax down. Last one. Breathe in. Breathe out. Pause. Take a moment here. Notice your body. Probably you notice a lot more action and tingling in the upper body from maybe halfway up the spine up. And we're going to go now into that mid spine and start going down. So here you're going to go going to a tilting of the spine, of the upper spine from mid spine to upper spine from side to side. So you're not going all the way out to the side, which would imply lower on the spine and into the hip. You're just stretching here, the rib cage from side to side. And there's a tilting of the shoulders, obviously, from side to side. Pressing gently down into your feet to reconnect to the support of the earth under. And back to center. Bring your right arm forward and you're going to twist as you move the arm back and across, or still aiming to this area of the spine in a different angle. Now in the twisting. Opening and twisting, squeezing the spine. And breathe along. See where your breath goes. Normally, the most natural way here is inhaling as you open back, because that's the full expansion of the lungs in the opening. And exhaling, because there's a squeezing here that naturally opens physically when you bring the arm across. Two more. And back to center. Pause, and let's go to the other side. Bring your left arm forward and start swinging the arm parallel to the floor and twisting from that waistline, a little higher than the waistline, into the spine, low ribs, twisting to the right, opening to the left. Head can naturally follow the movement. Don't get your head stuck in front just to look at me. Allow your head to do what it wants to do, moving one more and back to center. Take a moment here, relax into your center. And let's go onto the low spine. So the low spine, we're going to access it with spinal waves. And when I'm moving to the side like this and changing position, you don't. You stay straight in your chair. It's just for you to see what I'm doing, a little easier. So here, you're going to sit in that same position in the front, and you're going to start the rocking of the pelvis and the hips forward and back. Hands are resting on your legs. And you're opening now the low spine from the tailbone to the mid-back. From arching to rounding. And if you can tell here, because we've done this movement so many times before in different ways, I'm really isolating the movement from that waistline down. So obviously my upper torso is moving forward and back a little bit, but I'm not going in the full range of motion that we're gonna do in a minute. But for now, my head stays in alignment and I'm just moving from waistline down. Now we're going to go into a wider range of motion. You let that movement rise through the back and the full wave of your spine, shoulders back, you tilt the chin up a little bit, you open the front of the body, you feel the stretch through the belly, and then you go opposite direction, you round in all the way to the head dropping forward and down. And inhaling forward and up. And exhaling, rounding, dropping the head down. Breathe in. So now, because you're in this full range of motion, you have plenty of time to experience different things. And one of the things you maybe want to play with is using your feet and your legs to create the movement instead of just relying into the hips rotating forward and back and activating your back muscles, your belly to create that movement. Now bring the movement from the feet up. So you're pulling from the feet forward and my legs here are engaged. I can feel my thigh muscles. And then I'm pushing back. So my legs are the engine to do this movement. They're activating the movement of the spine. 2 more. Breathe in as you come forward. Maybe you're gaining a little more arching here, and breathe out as you roll back, and maybe you're rounding a little deeper. 1 last. And back. And back to neutral. Take a moment here. You should feel different things along the spine here because that was a big range of motion if you were able to go there. And now we're going to go with that spinal movement into forward folds. Hands go on top of the knees. So again, you're going to go into the rocking of the hips, opening the shoulders back. Now you're going to bend the elbows and come forward. And then drop your head last. And push from your hands down through your legs to pull yourself up. Tilt forward, hips, open, come forward, and then push and round your way up. Breathe in and out. Breathe in and out. Breathe in, open, and out, fold. Breathe in, push away. Breathe out, come back to position. And last one, breathe in. Breathe out. Relax your head completely. Roll up. And stay. Take a breath or 2 here. Feel the body reset. And we're going to go now into something that can be also quite challenging for most. We're going to isolate the movement again in this area into rotations, into rolling against the sit bones, the tailbone, and the pubic bone, all around the pelvis. And so this movement, I feel through experience working with quite a bit of people through the past so many years, that this is an area that is really tight and locked down, especially in this country. There are other countries in the world, like, for example, Brazilians, they can move their hips like there's no tomorrow, right? But here, we tend to be stuck from waistline to mid-legs. So finding that rotation right around the hips can be very challenging for some of you. So you do your best. You might not be able to find it right away. And here, what can help is pressing into your feet again. So when I'm rolling the hips toward the left and forward, I'm pressing into the right foot. And then I roll around to the right and I'm pressing into the left foot. And that helps the churning of the hips. Let's take one more rotation on this side. Pause into center, reset, maybe a little shake. And then let's go to the other direction. Roll the hips, the pelvis, the waistline, the opposite way. So there's a stepping onto my right sit bone, and then a tilting towards my tailbone, stepping onto the left sit bone, and pressing in toward the tailbone back. Imagine you're tracing circles into your pelvis. 4, one more, and back to center. Reset. So that was the low part of the spine that we got into circles. Now we're going to go into the upper spine, from the mid spine up into the circles. So now it has a very different texture and a very different, even when you're looking at me, it looks different. Now it's my shoulders rotating, my head is rotating out. And this one is the one that might create some dizziness in some of you. So be very mindful to go slow, to find a spot in front of you that is fixed, that is not moving. So if you're watching me and you're dizzy, just stop watching the screen and watch something in front of you that is not moving. And come back to center, and let's go to the opposite direction. Roll out from the waistline. So here the sit bones are planted evenly. You have the same weight right and left. There's not a lifting. There's not more pushing on one versus the other one. There can be a slight feeling different because there is some movement out to the side at some point, but you're not really losing like the traction of the sit bones. You want to keep them really rooted into the chair. That's your anchor here. And back to center. Good. Let's go down the legs. Now that we've moved the whole torso and the arms, you're going to stretch the right foot forward, anchor the right heel, and go into your ankle rotation here. And reverse. Make sure that your left foot is pressing down. That makes the right leg more stable and therefore feeling more free to move without fearing that it needs to be engaged to save your life of some sort. Because that's what internally the body is like. Am I safe wherever the body is doing? Am I safe in this position to allow the full range of motion? And that's where the left leg is really beneficial because it brings that safety, that sturdiness, that anchor. And release. Flex the foot towards you, toes towards you, and then you're going to peel the foot out toward the ball of the foot so your toes are still lifting up as much as possible. And then finally you land everything down all the way to the toes and you squeeze the toes down. You engage your right leg. You contract the muscles of your thigh, and then you relax the contraction. You lift the toes up and you flex the foot back. And again, press to the ball of the foot. Ground the whole foot down, squeeze the toes down, and then engage. Don't lock the knee, don't push the knee down. Lift it up a little bit, and then engage the quad. Engage all the way to the right glute. Squeeze, and then relax the right glute, the leg, relax the squeezing of the toes, lift the toes up, flex the foot up, stretch to the back of the leg. And again, point forward to the ball of the foot, ground the foot down, squeeze the toes down, do not lock the knee, and start engaging from the back leg to the thigh to squeezing the right butt cheek. Tendency probably will be to squeeze both, and that's fine if you're not able to isolate, but try to challenge yourself to isolating to the right leg all the way to the glute and keep the left glute relaxed. And then relax the action of the right leg and start peeling those toes up, flexing the foot back. Stay here, Stand tall, tilt forward, left hand on top of the left knee, and slide your right hand out and down. See how far you can go comfortably, that you're not tilting off the chair. Again here, very important, if you press into the left foot and you engage your left leg, you have more stability to fold forward onto the right leg. And you're trying to fold, I'm going to go sideways so you can see, but stay in the pose if you can. I'm not going here. Here, you're limited in the ability to go on your leg. You want to tilt from the hips. Go into that tilt movement where your spine is following in the same position. Then you slide down. And you'll see that not only you'll be able probably to go a little lower, but your back is not tensing up. Your belly is able to relax, and you really feel the stretch in the back of the leg, which is where we're aiming to. We're not trying to stretch the back here. And then press back up. Use the left hand to push against the left leg. Reach up. Now you're going to point your toes down, bring your right arm up, and stretch back. Stretch, lift the rib cage up, stretch the arm back. Your right palm is facing forward, so you feel the pressure as you spread the fingers, and you feel the stretch through your palm. And release. Slide your right foot in. Sit tall, sit up, and let's go to the other side. Stretching your left foot forward, anchor your heel, and start rotating your ankle. And reverse. Let the ankle joint do its little cracks. That's what mine does. We tend to lock, for some of us more than others, little pockets of nitrogen gas. I think it's nitrogen. So anyway, this gas trapped into the joints, and that's what releases when you hear those cracking, like pop up, the popping of the joints, right? Sometimes the popping, depending on the movement, can be also a release of the tension into the ligaments. And relax. Sit up, flex the foot, toes towards you, pull back, and then start peeling that foot down, but I'm going to go sideways here to show that my toes are flexed. They're not here. So I'm trying to go from flexing the foot to pressing through the ball of the foot. That's what you do sometimes, that the action of when you're driving, right? When you're driving and you're pressing into the pedals, that's the action of you're not pressing down to this part, you're pressing down to the ball of the foot, and your heel is anchored. So that's the action I want you to engage. Press through the ball of the foot, then bring the toes down and squeeze the toes onto the floor. And from the squeezing of the toes, start engaging and contracting the leg all the way to the left butt cheek now. Relax the action of the leg. Peel the toes up, flex the foot up, stretch. And then again, push through the ball of the foot. Press the toes down and engage that left leg. Contract all the way to the left glute. And relax the glute, relax the leg. Peel the toes up, flex the foot up. Feel the stretch through the back of the leg. Foot forward, land to the ball of the foot, land the toes, squeeze the toes, contract the leg all the way to the left glute. Try to keep the right butt cheek relaxed. And relax the left leg, relax the foot. Peel the toes and flex the foot up and stay. Sit up tall, tilt your hips forward, and slide out onto the left leg. Find your comfortable edge, stay here. Hopefully your chair is not sliding back like mine. Sometimes with this hardwood floor, it can be a little slippery. And breathe. And then press back up using your right hand, your right foot push and lift. and slide your left foot in. Bring your feet again to hip distance apart to your neutral position. Hands to the knees and give it a little shake here, opening and closing. More. And relax. Sit tall. And shifting your weight to your left foot, press down as you grab behind your right leg. And again, you're grabbing as you're tilting from the hips, not rounding your back to grab forward. Try to really work. This is like also a key element to unlock your hips and all this area, which can hold a lot of tension and create low back pain, for example, right? So think anytime that you're wanting to reach forward, whether it's to grab something on the floor, to grab something on a table, to reaching out to anything. Instead of reaching out this way or that way, all using your upper spine, and this is completely frozen, right? Think about those hips. Roll the hips forward, free the pelvis, and then reach. And I promise that you'll be able to reach not only further, but a lot more efficiently and with a lot less tension on your back, which is what you want to avoid, right? So from here, left leg is pressing down. You bring your fingers, interlace the fingers so you have a good grip here. Place it behind your right leg and then press down into the left foot to tilt your torso back. Here, make sure that you find a balance. If you're too far forward, you're gonna struggle and you're gonna have to engage your belly a lot tighter to hold the pose here. Obviously, if you're gonna go too far back, which I doubt any of you is gonna do that, you're gonna lose connection here. And anyways, the back of the chair will be then like the limit, right? But try to find that balance between the two, that your torso pulling back is a natural lifter of the weight of the leg forward. And to make sure that that happens in such way, we're going to do a little rocking forward and back. Because that's a good way to make sure that we're not cheating here. If the rocking is nice and smooth, see my arms are completely straight. I'm not like pulling in. And I'm leaning back without rounding. And then bring yourself to center. And let's do those hip rotations that we did already on Monday, but that feel really good. Again, working into unlocking the knees. So you're rolling. Now you do have to engage your belly and your arms to be able to smoothly open and roll in the leg. Couple more. I'm gonna face you again. So you can see the next move. So next move, depending on where you're at, what your capacity is, the next move is either bring the leg across and bring the foot on top of the left leg past the ankle, because if you put the ankle right on top of the leg, it can be a little achy, especially if your ankles are pointy. So you want the ankle to be passed and you need to open out. If this is not an option for you, if you're limited in your range of motion, you take it down to the ankle. If you take it down to the ankle, there's a possibility that you're gonna lose the connection to the left leg doing this or doing that. And you want that left leg to stay in position. Therefore, you have to press down into the left foot, engage the leg to bring that awareness. So the right leg can be completely loose. Yes. When you're up here, same. You don't want to release the left leg, release the connection to the foot. You don't want to close in. You press down, sit tall, so that you can work fully onto your right leg. Whichever way you're at doesn't really matter. What we're going to work into is the hip joint. So when your leg is up here, what is important is that you anchor your leg, because as you start working with this, the foot might slide out, right? So you keep your left hand on top of the ankle, like grab it in and ground it and settle it onto the left leg. If you're down here, there's not possibility that it's going to slide out, or very little. So in that case, you would put your left hand on top of the left knee so that you have a better access also to the inner right leg and relax it. Because if you're far back here, see, my knee pops up again. If I come forward, my knee goes down. And therefore, for the pulsing that we're going to do, which is placing the hand to the inner leg, and you're going to gently pulse, gently bounce the leg. And for this to happen smoothly again, you have to be in this position that your hips are rolling forward instead of struggling back and rounding. Just trust it, left hand on top of the left leg. If you hear same movement, you're pulsing here, you're kind of giving a little shake to your leg all the way to the inner hip. And for some, that can be already like quite a stretch here, because there's so much accumulated tension in the hips and even more in the inner hips. So give yourself permission to be patient, because at first there might be a lot of resistance and you can barely move it. It might be so locked that you'll barely see any movement. But as you keep on doing it, it starts eventually softening and you get into a wider range of motion. So play with your range of motion as progressively you have access to maybe a little more. This is another exercise that if you could remember to do this every day, for those who have been having issues in their hips, to prevent hip replacements, you want to have healthy hips, from the bone to getting the right blood circulation to the right tone of the muscles to support. So this is an excellent way to connect to that area and to activate some circulation around, some lubrication around the hip joint. A few more. And then you're gonna commit to whichever range of motion you have in pressing and stay. Stay with the light to medium pressure, depending on what you can take with no pain. If you're still really good, and same if you're here, you lean forward and you press to the inside of the leg. Make sure you're not right on the knee. It's easier to do it upper, a little upper into the inner low leg, and press not only down, but forward a bit, so that you're not only opening, but you're lengthening the inner hip and inner thigh. And you can modify how much weight you're putting by leveraging with your left hand. When you're up here, the same, you leverage how much weight you want to put by tilting forward a little deeper or less. When you get to a point that it becomes really comfortable and easy, then challenge yourself to a little bit more as you lean forward. You can even, if this is really easy for you, come to bring the forearm and elbow to the inside of the leg, and here too. And just hang out, read your book here, watch TV. And press, if you're in this position specifically, press first your left hand on the ankle on top of the knee, and then come up. And then we're gonna use both hands to release the leg. Same way if you're here, you're gonna close and release. And give a little shake here. And let's go to the other side. Still sit tall. Interlace the fingers, press down into the right foot, tilt from the hips forward. Okay, interlace the fingers underneath the leg, because if not, it's not gonna work. So bring your hands behind and interlace the fingers. Make sure you're not rounding, you're stretching out. Press into the right foot and shift back. And let's start the little rocking here to find the sweet spot. Relax your jaw, breathe, smooth, deep, completely relax as you rock your boat here, you're rocking your leg. And back to center, finding your spot where you're balancing the weight of the leg out. And now we're gonna go into the rotation. When you're going into the rotation, it's easier also. I'm gonna go sideways here again, and maybe a little closer to you. It's easier to rotate the leg from this angle where my upper body is back in the same position that I started from, than struggling here and sitting up. This requires a lot more effort than rotating here. And then reverse the way you're rotating the leg with the opposite direction. And now we're gonna cross the leg over, either bringing it down to the ankle and kind of finding that block of the feet so that the right foot, so see, don't, make sure you're not moving the foot in like this just because you feel it's easier, because here the anchor is not the same. You don't have a strong support of the right leg. You want your leg to be in that initial position here and the left foot to cross over and keep that right leg engaged. Right hand on top of the knee, you're tilting from the hips forward, and now you have access to your bouncing of the left leg that is nice and loose. Here, cross over, make sure also you pay close attention to where your ankle is going. Right hand is anchoring the ankle and the leg, left hand to the inside of the knee, and we start the bouncing. And here, as for all movements, don't expect it to feel the same and be the same than the other side. You might be surprised that it's easier, or you might be, let's hope not frustrated, that it is more challenging. And if you do feel frustration about it, just observe the frustration and let it go. Like, just honor the fact that the body is never the same on both sides. So maybe bring a smile on your face saying, this side is just a little more shy today, or it's a little more tense, or it's had a bad night. Just make a story around it that you can give yourself permission for forgiveness, that your body is not responding equally the way that you wish. Because we put a lot of stress on our bodies physically, but we also put a lot of stress from our mind on the expectation that we have of our own bodies. And then we get mad about our own body and like, why are you doing this to me? And well, that's why you have to practice self-care, right? And this is a beautiful way of self-care, just watching what your body does and accepting it for what it is, including being very grateful for all it does for us. A few more. This is a good exercise for the arm also. I don't know about you, but I can feel it in my left arm, because you have to make some effort through the resistance of the leg, and that makes your left arm work. And slow down and stay. And again, here you stay and lean and press and open. And breathe. Also, even here in that high position, don't think about just pushing down. Think about lengthening the inside of the leg, as if, so you're kind of sliding your hand forward, not on top like sliding, but sliding, pressing into the muscle, and then pulling that muscle forward. So you're lengthening the inner thigh muscle, and then press down and breathe. You can stay high here. If you're pretty comfy in the stretch, you lean even further forward. Now you're going to feel it not only into the hip and the inner thigh, but into the left glute. And again, if you're really comfortable, it's an easy shot for you. You can go down to your elbows and forearms and just hang. Keep on breathing, because another thing, when things are really tense, we tend to hold the breath. And that is counterproductive. It does not help. It creates quite the opposite. You bring this panicky effect in the body that is like, what? I'm not breathing anymore. And kind of the body freaks out and start tensing everything up. So then you're not able to stretch as deep. Whereas if you breathe really, really relaxed, really, really deep, the body's like, okay, no need to be alarmed, no need to be on the fence, no need to be ready to attack or run or something. So I can relax and soften my muscles, soften my joints, and therefore you're able to access deeper stretch. And then we press up and away. We use the hands, both hands, to release the leg out and down. Hands to the knees, give it a little shake. And relax. Last stretch. Believe it or not, it's already time. It's just crazy. Hands behind. You're going to grab the back of the chair or the arms of the chair. And again, I'm going to switch the position so you can see me a little easier here. So you're in your neutral position. You reach back. You see, or you're able to reach back. Arms of the chair. If you have arms, the back of the chair, or even if this is too challenging, the base of the chair, not here, but as far back as you can. And then you're going to roll the shoulders back as you pop the center of the chest forward. So there's an arching opening happening. And from this, you try to really bring the shoulder blades together, stretch up, pull the center of the chest away from the navel away from the pubic bone. And you take really full breath. When you inhale big here, it expands the ribcage. It creates extra stretch, extra goodness here. Tilt your head slightly up, not all the way back. Just opening the throat a little bit, pulling the chin away a little bit. Looking up to the ceiling, that gives you a direction to lengthen up. And keep on rolling the shoulders back and together. You have the 3 stages here, depending if you have arms to the chair. Make sure you're not doing this. Pull back, squeeze the shoulders back, and broaden the chest. 2 more breaths here. Press down into the feet. See if you can lengthen a little bit more. 1 more breath. And then gently soften in. Bring your arms across. Wrap your arms in front of you like in a big hug. And round in. All the way to the head down. Then check which arm you have on top of which. So my right arm is on top of the left. I'm going to open out. Stretch the fingers out. Stretch the palms. Wrap the arms the opposite way and round in, hug yourself. And release back to center. Expand the arms up, spread the fingers, stretch opposite direction, and release down, hands to your lap. And here we're landing back into our neutral position to close the session today. So find again that neutral position. Make sure that your feet are right underneath the knees. Sitting to the edge of your chair. Rest your hands on your lap. Move your chin in and out a little bit. A few times, tiny bit. Find the right spot. Then gently nod the head slightly from side to side. And find that right center point for your head to relax right on top of the spine. Close your eyes. Breathe in and up the spine. Breathe out and down the spine. Giving a direction to your breath through your spine, up and down. So as you're breathing in, I'm telling you from low spine up, and you're like, how can that be possible if you're that kind of very analytical, mind person, you're like, what is she talking about? My nose is up. She's talking about the low spine. Well, imagine that the breath you're taking in is water that you're pouring from a tap into a glass, a tall glass. And guess what? The water is not hitting the upper part of the glass, the upper level of the glass. It goes straight down to the bottom. So imagine that you're pulling that breath in, and if your breath had a texture, a liquid texture to it, it would start filling the container of breath from the very base of the spine up, filling up your whole torso as if that was a full container of breath, to the back of the throat. So now you're full, your glass is full, and as you release the breath out, it empties not from the bottom up, but from the top down. So that's how you inhale from the base of the spine up, and you exhale from the back of the nose down. And a few more in such manner, where you follow the action of the breath as a filling up, like filling your container with fresh air, fresh oxygen on the breath in, from bottom to top. And you're releasing the breath out from top to bottom. One or two more breaths here. Full breath in, fill up your glass. And exhale, release from top to bottom. Come back to your natural breath here. Just be present with it and start checking with your body. Feel your feet, your low legs and knees. Feel your thigh, top, sides, and back of the thigh. Feel your glutes and your sit bones. Feel the front, the back, and the sides of the hips, the pelvis in between. Feel your low belly and your low back. And move up the spine to your mid back, upper back, shoulder blades, space between the shoulder blades, space between the top of the shoulders and the spine. Feel the neck, the back of the head, the top of the head, the face. Feel the throat, the upper chest, the ribs, the lower, all the way to the lower ribs, the top of the belly, belly button, the right side of the belly, the left side of the belly, the low belly. Feel your hands on your thigh, palms, inner fingers, back of the fingers, back of the hands, wrists, low arms to elbows, upper arms to shoulders. Feel the center of the chest. Pause and breathe right into the center of the chest, expanding the breath out on the breath in, and releasing the breath, softening the chest in as you breathe out. And feel your navel and feel the breathing, expanding the belly and the navel out. And as you exhale, feel the squeezing of the belly and the navel in. feel your whole legs, your whole torso, your arms and your head, and feel the whole body at once. Feel and connect to your whole body at once. Feel the experience of being into your whole body at once. Breathe fully into your whole body at once. And palms come together to rub your hands against each other. Placing your palms over your eyes. Feel that soft warmth. Gentle touch of your hands with your eyes and your face. Infusing softening and relaxing and letting go. Feeling completely safe and loved and taken care of by this very simple, easy touch and presence. And then gently let your hands slip throughout your face, gentle touch to the fingertips. Open your eyes. And we're back into the room where we started in. We're back on our chairs. We're fully present in our body and breath, and hopefully we feel a lot better than when we started. And I'll come to you to close this session. I'm going to turn the recording off. Next time we'll see. And